Good evening, everyone. Another edition of our NASCAR Talks here on a pretty chilly Friday night in the Columbus, Ohio area. Got a little bit of news to talk about. We got some updates to the schedule for this weekend, which is supposed to be an exhibition type race, but it's kind of the start to get all the juices flowing again, called the Cookout Clash. I mean, technically it's just a clash, but Cookout is the sponsor of it. So it's been kind of dubbed the Cookout Clash. Got some impending weather rolling into the Carolinas and up the eastern coast over there. So NASCAR was monitoring. This was supposed to be a Saturday, Sunday thing. Saturday was supposed to be your practice qualifying and your heat races to set the lineup, the first 20 spots of the lineup anyway. But with the impending weather, NASCAR made the assessment that Sunday actually looks pretty good. So they're going to postpone every Saturday and move it to Sunday. Now, obviously, the weather's still being watched. And if things change, then there's a potential that the race could be pushed to a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. The only time, anytime before the Super Bowl next week, they can push it to. They just won't put it on against the Super Bowl. That's like rating suicide. So that's the game plan right now. Is I believe the first part, the practice and qualifying, is going to be at 2 p.m. on Sunday on Fox Sports 2. I don't know if there's a way to stream it yet. I haven't gotten all the details on that. The race, after that, there would normally be heat races to set the field for Sunday, to lock in the top 20. But however, with the weather, they're kind of shortening it, and they're going to eliminate the heat races. So how it's going to work is on Sunday at 2 p.m. they're going to do practice and qualifying. The top 20 speeds from practice or from qualifying, which is pretty much practice, will be locked in. Everybody else below 20, so 21 and lower, will go into Sunday, at 6 p.m. It's called a last chance qualifier. You'll hear it mentioned as an LCQ. That will be run. It's a 75 laps, only green flags count, no yellow flags, none of that. It has to be green flag. The top 2 finishers in that will move on to the actual clash. And then the 23rd and final starting position is given to whatever driver is not already in based on point standings from 2025. So if the top 22 in the points have qualified, then whoever was 23rd in the points at the end of last year would get the last spot. So, like last year, for example, Ryan Blaney didn't qualify, or 2 years ago, maybe it was, but he didn't qualify for the race, but he was the champion the year before, so he was automatically locked in no matter what. So, that's how that's going to work. And then Sunday, after the last chance qualifier, there'll be the clash, which will be 8 p.m. on Fox. And it will be, it's a 200 lap with 100 laps. They have a timed break to go back and make adjustments to the car to finish the last 100 laps. So pretty intense, pretty crazy. Gets wild. Like I said, I've mentioned before, if you haven't, go look up the Madhouse, go watch the documentary, the Madhouse, and you'll see what it's all about and why it's called that. Like I said, the schedule could change. It could go to a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever. I will be monitoring it. If more changes come up or whatever gets changed or moved around, if you like, subscribe, and hit your notification to my channel, then I'll go live off that direct so that we can keep everybody updated. I don't really anticipate there being an issue. They're talking 4 to 5 inches of snow, maybe in the Winston-Salem area, but the hardest part, I think, would be getting the fans there. NASCAR has enough track drying equipment from rain and stuff that they can pretty much just melt off the snow. I mean, they've got these big jet dryers that can just heat it up and melt it off and then just push the water off the track. So I don't being a problem on the track. I just see it being a problem with maybe logistics of fans and even some of the race teams getting there. Could be a little bit of an issue, but we'll play it by ear. Like I said, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that when I go live, with updates, if and when, which even if they race Sunday, I'll be going live off and on my YouTube channel with just some little updates on where things stand and what we're doing, and probably take good on, pretty sure, between the 2 p.m. practice and qualifying and the 6 p.m. last chance qualifier, just kind of break down who's in and maybe give some predictions for what I think will happen. So stay tuned for sure. The next little piece of nugget that came out this week, which I didn't mention earlier, was I wanted to verify first, was bye-bye Roval. For the last few years, I want to say since 2018, Charlotte Motor Speedway has hosted 2 races. Well, they've hosted 2 races for numerous years, but since 2018, they've had the Coca-Cola 600, which is on Memorial Day weekend, and then they've also had a playoff race, which they took off of the oval track and put it on the part oval, part road course, hence the name, the Charlotte Roval. And they've gotten a lot of pushback when they switched over to the Gen 7 car, which is what they run now. Some people refer to it as the next gen car. But what they got a lot of pushback because this new car doesn't do as well on road courses / oval rovals or street courses as it does in ovals on the 1.5 miles. The previous car did better on the road courses and worse on the 1.5 miles. So they've made the decision to go back onto the oval for the second race in the playoffs, which I am super excited for. The Charlotte race is normally one of the best races to watch, and the Coke 600 is one of the crown jewel events of NASCAR. That's a long day. That's what everybody calls the greatest day of racing, because normally it starts with F1 at like 7 in the morning in Monaco, and then it switches over to the Indianapolis 500, and then it switches over to NASCAR to close out the night from Charlotte. And you've had a few drivers, Kyle Larson most recently, have attempted both of them, the Indy 500 and the Coca-Cola 600 in the same day. Pretty insane feat. We'll get more into that as we get closer to that day. But that's the best day of racing, and that Coca-Cola 600 is just it's a spectacle to see. It's a very long event, but it is it's one of the best ones to watch, in my opinion. So again, we'll break down more of these races as we go further into the season, but right now we're going to deal with the Clash. So that's where we're at. I just wanted to mention the Roval because A, I'm not a fan of the Roval, so I'm glad it's gone, and B, it was some news that came out this week. So figure we might as well get that on the docket too. Other than that, there's not a whole lot going on right now, obviously, with the season still getting cranked up and with the weather kind of putting in limbo. So not a whole lot going on right now. But I noticed we do have some questions in the chat, which is always great. So Robert, WTP for Life, you can find him on YouTube. He's the one that put the whole WTP Sports Dudes thing together pretty much. And you got, a lot of content over there too to keep an eye on. First off, before we get into that, everybody's channels that is part of us is scrolling across the bottom of the screen down there. Y'all, like, subscribe, like I said, with the notification button on my page, hit that little bell. You'll know when we go live. We try to do something almost every night. Sometimes, take a little bit of a break, but we're getting cranked up pretty good. So go follow and like all the channels. You'll a little bit of different content on each channel. So, but Robert wants to know, how much does the weather impact the excitement of the Cookout Clash? And he also says, or do racing fans just say the heck with it, it's racing time? So weather like this, NASCAR really doesn't deal with too much. It's more of a summer sport, but I've heard from a bunch of fans on my Sirius XM NASCAR channel that I've listened to here and there when I'm flipping around. They've said they don't care. They're going to pack. They'll put layers upon layer upon layer on. They don't care. If they're going to race, they're going to be there. The most weather NASCAR normally has to deal with is rain. And rain will push some people out of the stands more than probably cold or hot. But NASCAR has also got to the point that where they will now run on a damp track, not a soaking wet track or a track pouring down rain. But if it's damp after the rain stopped, they'll still use the jet dryers. And when they get it close enough on certain tracks, not all of them, by the way, not on the big Daytonas and stuff, they're not going to do it on because it's just too dangerous. But on the smaller tracks and stuff, the short tracks, the road courses, they will go to a wet weather tire package and race on a damp track. It doesn't take long when you get, 36 cars with all that heat coming off of it to dry a track pretty quick, actually. So yeah, weather like this with snow, if it has an effect, I think it's going to be more on travel to get there. This is Bowman Gray Stadium, which is very, very, very small. So it's hard to, it's not like the big tracks where you've got all this huge wide open asphalt to park where they can just clear the snow off of it. This is a little more out in the middle of nothing and kind of hard to get in and out of. You can imagine a track that size and a little, so I think that would have more of an effect. If it was just cold and no snow, it wouldn't affect the crowd at all. They'd be bundled up. Like I said, you'd see them with 5-6 layers on. They'd be out there. Race fans are some of the craziest. Football fans, you've seen them up in Lambeau Field, Soldier Field, shirts off and all this stuff. There's no difference with NASCAR fans. There's always some crazy ones in the bunch, but most of the time weather doesn't have an effect on anything to keep fans away. Does NASCAR treat the racetrack when they know snow is coming like the cities treat the city streets before a snowstorm? No. To the best of my knowledge, no. They just let it handle it. You don't really want to be putting more chemicals down or anything down on the track that could affect the racing surface in certain spots. Let's just say you put some stuff down, and let's say that the lower groove on the racetrack all of a sudden gets all the grip and the upper becomes slick. Well, that's going to give whoever's down on the bottom of the track an advantage. So they won't do that. Plus, NASCAR's always kind of let weather do its thing with the track, Mother Nature, heating it, drying it, raining it, soaking it, whatever it does, snow covered. And then when they need to, they just repave it. But having some little cracks and stuff like that in the asphalt kind of helps affect the wet weather. Not the wet weather, the tires. Excuse me. It'll affect the tire wear based on, is the asphalt aged or has it just kind of, do whatever. And then it gets to the point that when it becomes kind of unsafe. So they just wind up repaving it, whether it's, asphalt, concrete, whatever. The concrete tracks obviously hold up a lot longer than the asphalt do, but they still have to be resurfaced at certain times. This is a really good question here too. Do drivers pull out of this event due to the weather? No. A driver will never pull out of any event for weather. Drivers are crazy. They will race. If you told them, there was a prime example. There was a few years ago, I should say, they were racing in Daytona. And if you've heard me talk, Daytona is a 2.5 mile circle or oval track. So it's huge. It was literally raining in turn 1 of the racetrack, but not in turn 3. And by the time they had come around and had realized it was raining in turn 1, it was too late and the cars were coming in and the drivers were sliding and wrecking everywhere. Fast forward a couple of years, I want to say maybe 3 years ago, maybe 4. Could have been longer than that too, but they were racing at COTA, Circuit of the Americas, down in Austin, Texas. And they raced, and it was pouring rain. And you can go back and watch videos of that race from the windshield. My driver at the time was Kevin Harvick. I couldn't see out of his windshield. Cars are just running into cars because nobody could see. And they had windshield wipers. Doesn't matter. They were just plowing into each other left and right in the rain, but yet no driver pulled out. Cold weather, hot weather. Drivers don't get out of the car. They will get out of the car, but the way NASCAR works is to qualify for points, you have to start the race. Whoever starts the race, if like say you start the race but you've been sick all week, long as you go around, then start the race, you can climb out of the car and somebody else can climb in, but you'll still get, they'll still get the points. So, but now if you like are really sick and you can't start the race, then that can affect your chance for the playoffs because technically you did not start every race. You can actually just be eliminated from the playoffs at that point. So there's a little bit, here and there with the driver. Yeah, drivers do not pull out of any event at any time if they can absolutely. I've known drivers a couple years ago, Kevin Harvick, they had an off week and he went over to Italy to watch his son race over in Italy and slid on some stairs and cracked and like fractured a couple of ribs. Never told anybody anything. Just got back in the car the next week and kept driving. I mean, you're going into these corners that fast with fractured ribs. If you ever had a fractured rib, I mean, even breathing hurts. So you can imagine driving a race car. Guys have driven with broken legs. Guy drove with a broken arm. Whatever. They just do whatever they want to do. They're just drivers are wired. Race car drivers are wired different, and it's any form of racing, whether it's Formula One, IndyCar, NASCAR. I don't know as many weird stories in the other genres of motorsport, but I know in NASCAR there's some crazy stories. We get going into this year, we get some downtime, whatever. I'll try to bring up some of the old stories and people racing with splints on their arm and a guy with a broken collarbone. There's just so many different things that'll just make you go like, why not just sit out and heal? Well, this is just not how. If you didn't race, you didn't make money. And back then, these guys weren't getting paid what these guys are getting paid now. So it's kind of a catch-22 with it with drivers. They're wired different. It's just such a different version of sports. When you hear guys in the NFL or the NBA, I've got a hurt toe, I got the, whatever. NASCAR guys don't do that. There's no, no, I'm in the car. I need to drive. It's my car. It's my team. It's my fans. I'm in the car. So, no driver ever pulls out. Not of the, even though this is a exhibition race, it doesn't count towards points. They're still not going to pull out. They want to be behind that wheel. These guys, the NASCAR drivers especially, like I said, I can speak more on them. They will race all year long. Kyle Larson, our NASCAR champion from last year, he's known to race 4 or 5 times a week, even during the regular season. Like, he'll just take a private plane, go race in Indiana, turn around, catch the plane, fly to Daytona, and race in Daytona. He'll leave Daytona. The next race will be in Bristol, Tennessee. In between there, he'll over on the Arizona, racing a little sprint midget car in the dirt, fly back, qualify. He's been known to fly back and qualify, turn around, fly back to run the main event, turn around and fly back and run the race the next day. These dudes are wired different. If they're not behind the wheel of something, I think they lose their minds. Honestly, if you can't give them a vehicle to drive fast on a racetrack somewhere, I think they will actually lose their minds. But they tell you it keeps their racecraft. It keeps them on point driving, and they drive multiple different styles of cars. Late model stocks, midgets, sprint, whatever. Drive it all. Don't care. But it hones their skill. So never pull out of not this event or any other event. Might be the best comment I've ever had on one of my podcasts. Race car drivers are crazy. Yup. 100%. People, I tell people this all the time. You think they're not? Get in your car and drive. Go somewhere where there is nobody else on the road, please. Get that car up to about 100, 110. Tell me how it feels. Tell me how you feel. Now increase it. Go to about 160. And then take a left-handed corner around the track. You can put banking on it. And you tell me how you can do it. Not to mention, there's a concrete wall, a catch fence, and 36 other cars all around you. And anytime you buckle into that car, Moss, you just covered it. There's a possibility of a fatality. You never want to see it. There, obviously, you don't want to see anybody pass away in any sport. This has a pretty, it's not a high fatality rate. These cars are so solid and secure now. Go watch NASCAR's worst wrecks on YouTube. And go watch that whole video. And you'll see cars that literally are shredded to nothing. The engine's tumbling down. The rear axles are rolling across the track. You'll hear other drivers come on their radio saying stuff like, "Oh my God, these are other race car drivers." And the guy's back in the car the next week. They are the craziest. And that's not just NASCAR drivers. Formula One, IndyCar, they're all wired different. You can say you're an adrenaline junkie. Get in a car and tell me you're an adrenaline junkie. It's a whole different ball game. If you've ever driven 100 miles an hour, you can see how fast things go past you. These guys are almost doubling that with other cars around them. So it's a very crazy sport. But like Moss said, knowing the possibility of a fatality, how hard is it to watch as a fan? It's not, because it's so rare. Used to be a lot more prevalent back in the day, of course. But back in the day, these guys would drive with their arm on the window like we do going to work or in a residential area. They had their arm hanging out the window. Half of them were smoking. Literally smoking during the race. Okay, with their arm out the window. There's videos of Dale Earnhardt Sr., who with windshield, it was cool one day, or hot, I don't even remember, but they have, the windshield was fogging up. He couldn't get it to clear. He climbed out. This is before the window nets. He is seen going down, holding the wheel with one arm and leaning out the window with a rag, wiping the front of the windshield off so he could see. What are we doing? This is under caution, so don't get me wrong. He's not doing this at 180 miles an hour, but he's under caution at about 40 miles an hour, 45, hanging out the window, wiping his windshield off with a rag so he could see. Yeah, they're wired different. Uh, but no, it doesn't. I mean, like I said, it's so minuscule. Um, the fatality rates now. I've seen some of the worst wrecks ever in the past probably 10 years, and everybody gets out and races, the next week. Sometimes they're out maybe 2 weeks if they've broken bones or whatever. But yeah, it's very, very low. But the chance is there. I would say that the chance is probably greater in an Indy car or an F1 car almost, just due to the open concept of the cockpit. But they now have that halo that sits above the car that isn't going anywhere. You would think it would crush under the weight of a car. It doesn't. It holds up. So those are even a lot more safe. NASCAR, after Dale Earnhardt passed away during the Daytona 500, NASCAR implemented all kinds of safety upgrades to the cars, to the tracks. They've installed safer barriers, which pretty much just compress when the car hits them. And you can see some of the wrecks. If you go watch that video, you'll see that safer barrier just compress and push back out. And it's nothing but like styrofoam and some other stuff, but it's weird. But it disperses a lot of energy off the car. They have head and neck devices to keep their heads from snapping forward. And these guys, when they get in the car, it's hard to explain. If you've ever seen somebody be put in a straitjacket, or even on a video, when you see them put them in the straitjacket, they're like, these guys in these cars are pretty much in a straitjacket. They can't really move. You can't barely turn your head. You got a mirror up here that you can like glance out of, like literally, like they're driving. And if you can see, they're like doing this number with their eyes. And that's how they're looking at the mirror behind them to see what's behind it. Now, some of them have gone digital and they just glance down, right? Like you would for your navigation screen. It's right there, the backup mirror. So, it's just, it's crazy. Not gonna lie, but I find it super thrilling. What other questions we got here? What is the significance of this racing event? Absolutely nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing. Unless you're a gearhead, NASCAR head like me, or one of the race car drivers. Nothing. Fun. Drive around track, get kind of the feel going, get used to getting bumped, get used to bumping. Nothing. Fun. Like I said, gets the juices flowing. Get back in the car, get the feel, start getting used to talking to your spotter again. Just kind of the norm. And then park the car at the end of it, take a week off, watch the NFL Super Bowl, turn around, head to Daytona, crank it up Wednesday down in Daytona. Wednesday to Sunday, down in Daytona. And from that point, 36 weeks. This year it's 36 races, 38 weeks. So there's going to be 2 off weeks this year. Normally it's just 1, but this year they got 2 off weeks. So yeah, 38 weeks, which is, 9 months. It's a long season. And tons of miles driven, not even just the track, the race themselves. You're going from San Diego to, Martinsville, Virginia, from Daytona, Florida to Michigan, from Michigan to Austin, Texas, out to Phoenix, Las Vegas. I mean, these miles, these guys, and they get there in a week. They'll leave, like they'll get done racing in like Martinsville, for example. Let's say they'll go back to Charlotte, load up the hauler with the next week's car, and the haulers will pull out normally Monday. And the haulers will be wherever they're supposed to go in a couple days. They obviously run pretty much all night. They just don't stop. And they get to where they're going. And by the time they get there, unload the car. Here come the drivers and all the teams on their planes. Crank it up. Let's do it again this weekend. Pretty much a routine. Let's see. Where are we at here? We saw the race car drivers are crazy. Well, the name of this one probably tricks people a little bit, Moss. I do appreciate you and Doug and Robert and anybody else that's tuned in watching. I do appreciate you joining in. There's no cook off. Cookout is the name of a restaurant in the Carolina area, and they sponsor a lot of stuff in NASCAR. They sponsored this, and they sponsor 2 races at Martinsville, Virginia, or one in Martinsville, Virginia, the one I'll be going to in March, end of April, whatever. And they sponsor the Southern 500 down in Darlington, the Cookout Southern 500 at Darlington, which is in the playoffs. And Doug, I think I misspoke. I think I said I'd be in Martinsville the weekend you were in Norman. I misheard you. I thought you said you'd be there April 1st. That's when I'll be in Martinsville, not the 21st. So yeah, there's no cook off or any cookout or anything like that. I mean, there's probably dudes cooking out, but it's not like you would see like a chili cook off or something before the race. It's just the name of the sponsor of the race. And that's where you got to kind of watch these NASCAR races, because you'll be confused, because like in Talladega, they run the Yellowwood 400. You'll see the Coke 600. So every race has got a sponsor for it. So then they always mention the name, because those sponsors pay good money to have their name associated with it. And yeah, we assume you were on your way to go doing some cooking tonight, Rob or Moss. Seems like every time I do a podcast, you're cooking. You can never join me. I'm hoping one day you might actually get to jump on here with me. Doug, yeah. I'm gonna get a taste of it. I'm a little nervous about that speed too, and I've been dealing with this speed for years and years and years and years, but not driving it, and definitely not riding in it. Just watching it and listening to it. And so end of March, I'm going to get my taste of it. And I promise you, I'll be letting y'all know how that works out. I think there might be a trip to the Walmarts after that, but we'll see. Car remodeling show with Kyle Busch. Yeah. There's a lot of them. There's quite a few of them out there that you can find. A lot of there's a channel you can get that's racing, Mav TV. They show a lot of racing. You've got on Tubi or Roku channel, you can find the NASCAR channel, and they play races pretty much all day long. Old races, new races. You go get the NASCAR mobile app right there, or even on the desktop or laptop. Desktop, boy, I just described my age. You get the app or whatever, go to the website, and they have a link on there that you can get the NASCAR Classics, and you can go in and search for a driver, search for a year, and there'll be races from that driver from that year, and you can just sit there and watch races all day long. When my wife was back in Texas, when my granddaughter was born, she went down there for about 6 months, and I promise you, I watched almost every Kevin Harvick win, starting from 2001 all the way. I was watching sometimes 2 races a night, just because, I mean, it's a good way to pass an evening for me, but I'm a little thrown off and weird. So, yeah, you'll see him, Kyle Busch. There's a series out there you can find. I think it's Netflix. Not 100% sold, but you can find it if you do a little due diligence yourself. It's called Dirt. Go watch that. That's pretty crazy. That's pretty fun. Kyle Larson actually, him and another guy or two started what they call the high limit sprint cup races, or yeah, sprint races, and they travel all over the U.S. racing, and it's different characters from every different. There's some in California, then they go to Pennsylvania, and then so gives you a little insight. And you want to talk about it? You talk about crazy, yeah. Go watch some of that. That I don't want any part of that. I mean, these guys are going around corners, just sliding the wheel, literally to keep the car going straight. They're turning left, but the wheels are turned right on the, and the back end's just sliding, and you're steering into the slide to go around the corner. Yeah, I love watching it. Never want to do it. This was Robert's response to my Dale Earnhardt story about cleaning the window. Oh, there's hundreds of them. There's hundreds of stories like that. Crazy, 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 crazy. Appreciate the super chat. Look at that. I think that's the first person that's ever super chatted me. I'd give you a prize, but I don't have any. But I do love you and appreciate the support by tuning in, and the super chats are always great to see roll across that screen. You'll get on here one day. We just got to time it up right. For sure. I need to get Doug on here too. He keeps asking me more about NASCAR so he can take his daughter, but he don't ever want to join me either. Live watch Wednesday. Well, I thought about trying to get something together for the Daytona 500 over at the place I go, barbecue joint here in Columbus that I go to. I thought about trying to get something together with people that might want to go up there, but I haven't decided yet, because normally it's probably better for me if I just stay home on that day, where I'm coming from. So it's something I've thought about. It's hard to do a watch along with NASCAR because there's so much action that you can't hardly keep up with what's going on while talking to people online. It's not like a football, basketball, baseball where there's kind of a break where you can catch up on comments. It's just, even when they go to commercial, they normally go side by side. So they're still got it up. So, and normally I have my scanner going. So I'm listening to my driver and crew chief talk strategy too. So it's a little harder to do with NASCAR. But again, if they race Sunday, then Monday night, I'm probably going to turn Monday night into my NASCAR recap day. Haven't decided yet. I'll talk with Robert and the other guys on the group to make sure I'm not stepping on anybody's toes. Monday, may do a recap Monday and a preview Wednesday. I'd like to do previews Wednesday or Friday because actually Wednesday or Thursday, because if there are already penalties for teams that were caught cheating, those are normally announced on Tuesday. So I kind of like to wait till Wednesday, Thursday, but I know Thursday's normally a pretty big show for us at the WTP Sports Dudes, with kind of getting geared up for the weekend. And sometimes you have racing on Fridays, so doing a Friday night show is kind of crazy because you'll have the Truck Series racing sometimes, or the O'Reilly Series racing on Friday night, and that race will be going on while I'm doing this, and that's I'm going to be out there watching. So we'll get together and figure out a schedule to do it. Look at this. What is going on here? These guys love me. Wow. Another $5 super chat. This one from WTP for Life. What's the worst weather you've ever encountered at a race? Would you still go if the weather is bad? Yes. Second part first. I'll answer the second part of that. That weather won't keep me away. No, won't keep me away. Whether I paid for the tickets or whether I use my fan app, and got free tickets, I'm not missing it. If I've got tickets, I'm going. Worst weather, had to be years and years and years ago. One of the first few races at Texas Motor Speedway. That race was in July, June, maybe. It was in the summer months, and it was a day race, and it was brutal outside of Fort Worth. It was probably 107 degrees outside. It was insane. It was super hot. With recently, really haven't had any bad weather. I mean, we went to Michigan last year, me and my wife, and it was nice and cool. Every day we were up in Michigan, we were there. We went like 3 or 4 days ahead of time. It was nice and cool weather, great weather up there. And then all of a sudden, something happened on Sunday, and it was nice. We were walking around doing the little shopping, like y'all heard my wife mention. All of a sudden, race kicks off, and it just becomes brutally hot. I mean, hot. To where my wife had to go down underneath the stands because she felt like she was fixing to have a heat stroke. She went and sat down in the shade and cooled down and drank some water underneath. She missed half the race because she was just hot. It was that hot. And it was just insane because it had been nice and cool every day we had been there. Weather, those are probably the worst circumstances I can give. The other one was when I was at the race in St. Louis with my son a couple of years ago. First race I took him to, and we were getting ready. Literally, I mean, they got the cars out. They did, I want to say they did a couple of laps, maybe 10, 15, and they threw a caution flag. And it's because there was lightning detected near the racetrack. Then it turned into a tornado issue where there might be a tornado or a warning or something. So the race was postponed for 2 hours, 3 hours, and we're just sitting there. And I was like, I almost actually thought about leaving because I wasn't sure they were going to get the race cranked back up. But they did, so it all worked out. But that was pretty rough, just sitting there for a couple hours waiting. I'll tell you, NASCAR is an event that if you go to a race and it is rained out, as long as you have your ticket, which most of them kept on their phone, but if you still have your race tickets or whatever, 90% of the time, 99% of the time, if they run the race like the following day on a Monday, your ticket's good for that day too. There's times where NASCAR, because the race was postponed to like a Tuesday, believe it or not, they just opened the track up for free, and anybody that was nearby just walk on in and watch a race for free. If you had tickets, you showed them and you got in anyway, but just let people in. It's like I said, it's it's the best sport for a fan, in my opinion. And I've been to all the different sports. There's nothing close to the way NASCAR treats their fans and the way the vendors and the drivers and the teams treat their fans. There's just nothing like it. I mean, you can go to a football game and games delayed for hours and hours and hours. You can go to a baseball game, a thunderstorm breakout in the 6th inning, flood the field. It's a Sunday, so the teams are leaving to travel for the next game, and they call the game, and the game's official because it's been an official game now. You just got to see half of a baseball game, and you're done. NASCAR, they will end a race after a certain point, after halfway. Normally, it's after the second stage of the race. Rarely does that happen. NASCAR monitors the weather really, really close, and they try everything in their power to complete a race, whether it means pushing it back a day or pushing it earlier in the day. It's a lot easier said than done. People get mad. Why can't we just start it earlier if we know the weather's coming? Well, these TV partners pay a lot of money to broadcast these races. So, if you go to Fox or NBC and say, we need to try to start this earlier, but they've already got something else locked into, sorry, we can go later. Okay, well, we'll go tomorrow then. And, they will. I've numerous times the Daytona 500 has been postponed till a Monday. Numerous times. And Fox, they will preempt their daytime coverage for that race. Other races, they'll put it on FS1. Daytona 500, it's going on the big boy. That's that. Really excited. Glad for the interaction with you guys. Love the super chats, Robert and Moss. Love it. Everybody else, anytime. Like I said, subscribe, hit the notification button for us on all of our channels. That's not just me, SEC Sean. Hit it on Mossberg. Hit it on, which is Level Up Sports 10. Hit it on Robert, WTP for Life. You got, Post Game 86 podcast. You got Parlay Poe with the Blitzburg podcast. You've got City League TV. They do Facebook, YouTube, cover all kinds of stuff, local kids, high schools, middle schools, bowling, wrestling. If there's badminton going on somewhere, they're probably covering that. Knowing T1, that dude goes everywhere. Moss it helps him out with it too. So shout out to you for doing that for the kids, both of y'all. You got One Take Zay. He used to be FanDuel Zaya on here. He's now One Take Zaya. Rebranded himself. I'm sure he's getting some content loaded up and ready to roll. So definitely subscribe, hit the notification. Like I said, man, we're here for all you fans out there. We'll talk whatever y'all want to talk about. Obviously, super chats get moved to the front of the line on all of our channels, no matter whether it's mine, whether it's Robert, whether whoever. Super chat moves right to the top of the line. You will always get your name shouted out on here. And, we're just we're a bunch of sports dudes trying to grow something here and just having fun. I promise you, we're not in it for the money. We're in it just because we all like ball, and we all like, I think, kind of giving each other a little crap about ball too. So, ladies, gentlemen, children of all ages, y'all have a wonderful evening. Stay warm. And if you're over in the Carolinas or anywhere with this impending storm, y'all stay safe over there. Everybody down in the southern states, it's still without power. I know some people in Tennessee are still without power, going on 6 days. Y'all keep all them people down there in your prayers, and hopefully y'all make it through this and get your power back on pretty quick. Other than that, we're going to call it a wrap for the night, and we're going to get ready to roll. We're going to get some horsepower cranked up this weekend, fellas. Keep it on, because if it changes, I'll let you know. I'll be your go-to. So y'all have a great evening. Appreciate it, Robert. Thanks for the interaction and everything else. And let's catch up this weekend. All right. Peace, everyone.